What's going on, y'all? Chuck Nunface here, doing a quick video from the car. Going to talk about this one right here. This is the Medford Midi Marauder in CPM 3V Tanto blade profile. Nice brushed stainless steel, titanium handles, stainless. It is in the Marauder family. It is the mid-size offering, hence the name Midi. In between, well, not technically in overall dimensions, so it's smaller than the full-size Marauder, or the Marauder H, which is the 4-inch blade, 4-inch plus blade, and then the Slim Midi, which is just like this, only thinner all around, and then here is the Midi Marauder. So it's like a Marauder H in hand, yet it have those same like width dimensions, but it is smaller overall, shorter overall is what I should say. So yeah, it's a nice little knife. I've had one of these in the past. I had a Monkey Edge exclusive frag drop point Marauder, and I liked it, but I didn't end up keeping it. And I recently got this one. I think I picked it up on a trade with a guy on Instagram. And I've been carrying it a little bit here and there and using it some. And I remember this one. I'm liking this one more than I remember liking the last one. Maybe it's just because I'm more familiar with Medfords now, because that was a few years ago. I don't know if it's going to come through on camera, but it is raining right now, so some of it's hitting my car here. So forgive that background noise of the rain if you happen to hear that. But yeah, it's a nice knife. Definitely a nice knife. Size comparison, I don't have a whole lot with me because I am in my car right now, but there's a Sebenza 31, so it's going to be, it's going to be shorter than the 31 overall, but not by a whole lot. Actually, is it even? Yeah, the blade's going to be a little bit shorter than the 31, but really not, not too much smaller than the 31 overall. The 31's going to have a little bit more handle length, a little bit more blade length, but not a whole lot. So, that's what we're kind of looking at in dimensions. But yeah, one thing that you'll definitely notice right off the bat, it's going to be a lot thicker in hand. So this would be more similar to, say, Slim Midi, and this is going to be, the thick kind of chunky boy, much more similar to the Marauder H. But yeah, these are nice knives. I'm liking this one. I really like the configuration on it. I like the black blade and the black hardware and the black clip, of course. All that DLC done by Armor Lube out in Arizona. They do some of the best DLC in the business, bar none. And, it's got great wear resistance, awesome looking finish. I mean, let's just see if we can get that to come up. I mean, that finish just looks great. It really does. Contrasted against that nice lightly tumbled, kind of polished and then tumbled titanium scales. Finger grooves, they're more just suggestions. They're not really finger grooves. They're more just design choices. And of course, those little grooves right there too on the end. No jimping on the blade. Feels really good in hand. Now the action on these, it's good. Now, you'll notice with Medford knives, there's a definite difference in actions across their product line. So the Praetorian has a very, I don't want to say snappy, but it's very strong, stiff action that you can certainly flick out with the thumb. But it's got an overall much tighter, firmer. The lock bar strength on it is it's definitely pressing very positively against the blade. And it's more with the Marauder line, it's a little bit more loosey-goosey. So when I got this, the detent was what I would describe as fairly light. It could pretty easily be shaken out of the blade, or be shaken out of the handles rather. So I did take it apart and I pushed the lock bar over just a little bit. That's something you can do to kind of adjust detents. You can either flex the lock bar out or you can flex it over, and it will affect the action on the knife and how strongly the lock bar is pushing against the blade during deployment or during closing. That's one of those things where do that at your own risk. If you mess it up, it might not be covered by warranty, so that's something that you have to look at. But yeah, I went ahead and just kind of tightened that a little bit, and it is better, but it's always going to be kind of that a little bit looser action. It can be, if I'm very firm, I can get it out and to deploy without intending for it to deploy necessarily using a traditional method. The way you do want to open these up, it's going to be either slow roll using the thumb with that nice fuller right there, or you can spidey flick it, it'll finger flick it, or of course you can use, muffed it there, but use the thumb and get it open as well. So it opens up very nicely. So overall, yeah, it does have a nice action. It is going to be a thicker knife. Yeah, it's EDC profile and length at least. It's probably going to appeal to more people. But if you're looking for something thinner, this one isn't going to be your knife. I mean, this is something that's more like along the lines of like a Strider S&G or something like that. That's going to be a little chunkier in hand, like a Hinderer XM18. I don't know if it's going to be the same thickness as a fatty XM18. I don't think so. I think the fatty 18s are going to be a little thicker than this. But think Hinderer XM18, think Strider SNG when you're kind of thinking of carry profile and what it may feel like in the pocket. Speaking of pockets, the pocket clip is nice. It's not going to win any awards. It's got decent tension on it, but it might not be one where I'd take it cliff jumping or something like that. It's not a super firm pocket clip. Now, of course, you could take the pocket clip off and bend it over a little bit more. Medford, by design, leaves about a credit card's width of space between the pocket clip itself and the frame of the scale. So you will, if you listen, you can hear that it is proud of the scales just a wee bit there. You can kind of see it right there as well. So yeah, I mean, it's not the most retentive pocket clip that you'll ever see, but it's nice, it's functional, it's going to work just fine. Overall, I do like this knife. I do like this design. There's a couple things, the detent is not all it could be, but that's just kind of indicative of the Marauder line. That's kind of what you're getting. It's not bad, but just be prepared. It's not going to have this super snappy detent. It is going to be a little bit more kind of a lazier action, so to speak. And then, of course, the overall thickness of the knife may not be for everybody. They may want something that is a little bit more thinner in the pocket. One thing I will say real quick, cutting ability is just fine. That's a nice American Tanto. It's got a nice hollow grind right there. They do grind their knives very well. They do cut quite nicely. The days of Medford being considered, these bricks that can't cut or folding shovels, I think you just need to put that aside. They've really branched out, and even everything new on their thicker classic models and everything else, the Praetorians, the full-size Marauders, the TFFs, those are pretty slicey knives. They're not, they're not Spyderco Delicas, they're not Enduras, they're not TRM Adams. They're not going to be super slicey, but they cut better than people who really have no experience with Medfords will give them credit for. So they do a pretty good job. This knife can definitely handle pretty much anything that you want to throw at it. It's not going to be the best food prep knife, but if you want a good all-purpose, all-around work knife, you can do a lot worse than this. One general complaint, and I think I'm going to address this in I'm going to do a Medford knife video at some point, is this part right here on all models I find is just it's just sharp. They never knock down that little corner right there for the cutout. It's something I wish they would do. It would take very little effort to do something like that, but it's just, as a company, they're just not doing it. So that would be something that, I don't have super soft, little delicate hands. They may not look like hard outdoor working man hands, and frankly, they're not. I work in an office, but I do a lot of manual stuff too, and I do have calluses and all that. But that is sharp. There's no way around that. I don't think it's being a girly man to suggest that maybe you just kind of knock that down a little bit. But it's just one of those things that they just don't do, at least not right now. So, in any case, Medford Midi Marauder, I like it. It may be for you if you're looking for a chunkier EDC knife, a good all-around workhorse. It might be something that you're interested in. If you're looking for something slim and slender and it's going to go great in slacks, this one's probably not going to be your first choice. But yeah, I appreciate you checking it out. If you're not doing so, if you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button, I certainly would appreciate that. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this line from Medford or if you've got a favorite in the Marauder series, let me know what that is, or just kind of any comments in general. But yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Give me a follow on Instagram at Chuck_Nunface, and that's going to do it for me. Peace.